Hi, I'm Sara and welcome to Hen Corner. We are so pleased to be joining in with Celebrate at Home with Country Living. I'm a columnist for the magazine and every month I've been writing about living the good life in the city. And today we're going to be looking at what we've got growing in our kitchen garden, and then we're going to be making some Elderflower Cordial. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is how do you stop the chickens from eating what you're growing? And this is something that we've actually had to spend quite a few years getting to grips with. And over the years, my lovely husband has helped me to build these amazing raised beds. Now, the raised beds are actually made out of recycled plastic. We did have some wooden ones, but they broke down, they rotted quite quickly, and they fell apart. So we've used recycled plastic, and when you cut it, you can cut it just like wood. You can see bits of blue plastic milk bottle tops. It's made with food grade plastic, which is fantastic. So the food recycling, plastic recycling that you put outside for your recycling with a local authority gets melted down into the plastic that we use on our raised beds. But the way that we keep the chickens out is through the design of these covers. And these covers are made with plumber's tubing, and they're on a wooden frame, and we can lift them up to access the crops. But the chickens can't get in to scratch up the vulnerable seedlings or the valuable food that we're growing. What's great with this is we've got this plastic netting here which helps keep out the chickens, but also cats and foxes and pigeons and anything else that would try to sneak your food from you. But the netting that we've got here, the holes are big enough for the pollinators to get in. So when we want the bees to pollinate our strawberries or our broad beans, we're absolutely fine. So this design, we've made this up, and we're really pleased with it, and it means that we can have raised beds filled with crops right throughout the year. So what have we got available? Well, what's growing in the garden at the moment? Well, you can see here, this is my plum tree, and the bees have done a perfect job at pollinating the plums. There's absolutely loads. So they'll be ready around August time, and we can't wait to eat these. Our favourite variety, Victoria plum. In other raised beds, we've got the potatoes. I put those in earlier on in March, and they're coming up really nicely. We've got two varieties. We've got our earlies, which are at the front, and then our main crop, which is at the back. And I just need to earth those up with compost as they continue to grow, and they'll be ready in a month or so's time. On another bed, we've got the broad beans, and the broad beans, we always plant those in November. And the reason that we plant them in November is because the black fly, as soon as that's out in around May, June time, they go for the tender tips of the broad bean. And if you've only planted them in the spring, your plants aren't really big enough to survive an onslaught of black fly. But if you plant them in November, the beans can germinate, the plants can start to grow. It will slow down as the weather gets colder, as the temperatures drop, but the beans are very hardy, and they will survive through winter. We've even had them in a blanket of snow. They survive absolutely fine. We all know about frozen vegetables. Well, you can have them growing in your garden. And because we planted them in November, it then means that now that they're in flower, the bees are pollinating them, and we're going to have a lovely crop of broad beans, and some of them will be ready to pick in a few weeks' time. And one of our other beds, this is something new for this year, we've planted it up completely with strawberries. I love strawberries, I love eating them, I love making strawberry jam, and to make sure that we've got a really good consistent crop of strawberries, we needed to put them in one of these protected beds. So you can see that they're already in flower, they've been pollinated by the bees, and we're in for the best harvest ever of strawberries this year. So here in the kitchen garden, we've talked through, we've got the potatoes, the beans, we've got the strawberries, we've got some garlic growing at the back, and we've got some shallots. And here in this bed in front of me, we've got asparagus growing. Now this is brilliant. If you've got space for a few asparagus crowns, it's really worth the investment. Once you've planted them, you do need to give them a few years before you can actually harvest them. And the reason for that is you want to allow the spears to grow up and to fern, and as they fern, the plant can photosynthesize and the nutrients go back down into the crowns, allowing the plant to stay healthy and give you many crowns in years to come. But once the crowns are a few years old and you're starting to get nice thick spears of asparagus, then you can take a serrated knife. I use a special asparagus knife. We check that the spears are at least the length of the blade and the handle, which shows you they're the right length for harvesting, and then we cut the asparagus spear below the surface of the soil, making sure that there's no exposed wound on the plant. And as we harvest the asparagus, this means the plant will send up new spears which we can collect in the following weeks. With good weather, we're collecting more asparagus than we can eat here. It's an absolute delight, and once you've eaten fresh asparagus, you won't want to go back to stuff from the supermarket again. Now, something else that we're going to be talking about today is how to make elderflower cordial. So let's go to the table and we'll show you how to get on with that. May is the perfect time to make elderflower cordial. The elderflowers are open and they're giving out their wonderful fragrant nectar and pollen to attract the bees to be pollinated to make elderberries later on in the season. And to be honest, elderberry makes great jam, great wine. But these elderflowers were collected by my lovely next door neighbours earlier on today. We have got elderflowers growing in our garden here, but they're very new plants that have only just started to grow in the last year or so. And I watch with envy out of our bathroom window when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, and I spy next door's elderflowers. And Nina and Pritpal very kindly gathered some of these for me today, so I can show you how to make elderflower cordial. So elderflowers, they're found all over the country. They're often found in derelict buildings. You know, some would say it's even a weed, the elder. But elderflower cordial is just such a delight. It's very easy to make. And if you're quite careful with your planning, then these are available to enjoy all year round if you get your elderflower cordial and you make enough of it. So these are elderflowers. At the moment in early May, we're finding that it's the top of the tree that are the ones that are open and the ones that are ready to use. These ones that aren't open, you're not going to access the pollen on the nectar, so you're not going to get any flavour from them. But the ones that are open are absolutely perfect. Oh, they're so beautiful. So I'm going to explain what we need for making elderflower cordial. First of all, we're going to use about 20 heads of elderflowers. Now, I'm using the recipe that I wrote in the May edition of Country Living magazine. So if you've got that magazine to hand or you've still got it at home, you can look it up. I'm going to make half quantities today, but I will be making some more batches for us to enjoy later on. So we need our elderflowers, and when you go out to collect them, you will need some secateurs to make sure that you can cut them down. And I normally go collecting with a nice big bucket to see how many I can gather. And the more elderflowers that I've got, the more cordial I can make. Other equipment that you'll need, well, the other ingredients, you will need a couple of lemons, some citric acid. Now, citric acid, it looks a bit like sugar, but citric acid is the stuff that they use to make tang-fastic sweets. So I love tasting a bit of this. Oh, I had a bit more than I was expecting. It really is quite sharp and sour. And the very reason that we put this into our elderflower cordial, oh, my eyes are watering. The very reason that we put this into elderflower cordial is the way that we're going to get the flavour out of the elderflowers is to infuse it in a sugar syrup. And this sugar syrup is there's so much sugar in there. The elderflower cordial helps to the citric acid helps to offset the sweetness. We're also putting the lemons in, again to offset some of the sweetness, but the lovely and fragrant oils that you've got in the lemon skin will all add to the flavour. So the ingredients: the elderflowers, lemons, a sugar syrup, and this is a strong sugar syrup. I've used 2.5 kilos of sugar and 1.5 kilos, 1.5 litres of water. So it's a very strong sugar syrup. Elderflowers, sugar syrup, citric acid, lemons are your ingredients. Then equipment, we need a bowl for us to soak it all in, and then knife, peeler, chopping board, a lovely tea towel. You might recognise this from Country Living Christmas fair and spring fair in the past. This is made by Shark Alley, as is my beautiful brooch here. I do love the fairs that Country Living organise. So let's get on with this recipe. In my bowl here, I'm going to put 10 heads of elderflowers. Now you do just want to check them over that you haven't got any ants or insects, in which case you can shake them off. Don't wash them because you don't want to lose any of the pollen or the nectar that's in the flowers, because it's the pollen and the nectar that are going to give us the flavours that we need. So how many did I get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one's not very good. Next one, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okie dokie. As I said, we're going to make some more when we have got, when they're further down the line, when there's more of them available. So the recipe if we're halving the recipe, it does ask for 20, but you know, we're going to work with what we've got. So we've got the bowl of elderflower heads there. We're now going to peel the lemon zest. So we want the zest, we don't really want the pith, but as soon as you cut the lemon zest like this, you'll find it smells amazing as the oils are released. Oh, it's really wonderful. And so we're going to have those lovely lemony flavours in the cordial as well. So that's 1 lemon, here's 2. Now a cordial is just a flavoured syrup. So, you know, if you make jam and it's a bit watery, you end up with a cordial. So it's a sugar syrup that's has been has had fruits in it to give lovely fragrance and flavour. So once we have put the lemon zest in, the lemon peel in, we're now going to slice the lemon because we want some of the fruit. Now these odd bits at the end, I'm not going to worry about those because that's just pithy. But now I'm cutting the lemon into slices because we want some of the juice to come out. So that's 1 lemon in slices. Two lemons in slices, and then we're going to put the citric acid on. So we have got quite a bit, but as I said, it's to counteract the sweetness of the sugar. So we're going to sprinkle the citric acid on. So you can see we've got the elderflower heads, the lemon, both the lemon zest that we've used the potato peeler for and the cut lemon, and then the citric acid. Now I'm using 85 grams there to go with 20 heads and 2 lemons, but the recipe is in May's edition of Country Living magazine. And then the last thing that we do at this stage is to pour the hot syrup on. So I've got this hot syrup, it's 2.5 kilos of sugar and 1.5 kilos of water. We've brought this to a simmer and stirred it to make sure that it's definitely dissolved, and this hot syrup is going to be poured over the elderflowers and the lemon, and the zest and the citric acid. My goodness, I should have checked the capacity of the bowl before starting the recipe. So that is all infusing, and we leave it to infuse overnight. I'm going to cover it with my beautiful tea towel, and I'll tell you what happens tomorrow. So we leave this infusing overnight. Then tomorrow we need to strain this mixture. So at the moment the sugar syrup is soaking up all the lovely flavours of the lemon and the elderflowers, and then we need to strain it, and we need to strain it through a cloth. So we take a colander, pop it over your saucepan, line it with a clean tea towel, an old tea towel, not a favourite, just line it with a clean tea towel, and then pour the contents of the bowl into the colander through the tea towel. You can use a muslin if you've got some muslin. And then the liquid that we collect below is the elderflower cordial, and what has been discarded in the top can be composted. So the liquid below, the elderflower cordial, is ready to drink. But I will let you know that we need to be very careful how we store it, or it will start to ferment. So if you're just making it to drink straight away, absolutely fine, it's ready to go. But if you want to have it to enjoy in weeks to come, or right through the year, it's really important that we think about how to stop it from fermenting. And the way we can stop it from fermenting is, one, just keeping it in the fridge. So if you've got enough space, put this into clean sterilised bottles, put the liquid in, the cordial into clean sterilised bottles. If you've got space to store those bottles in the fridge, you're sorted. I like to make a good 20 or so. Oh my goodness, it smells amazing. I can already smell it happening. I haven't got space for the sort of 20, 30 bottles that I want to make in my fridge. Other thing you can do is freeze it. But again, I haven't got the freezer space for that many bottles of elderflower cordial. So what I do is I pasteurise it, and to pasteurise it, we pour the liquid, so tomorrow's liquid, the strained elderflower cordial, we pour that into sterilised bottles, and we seal the bottles, so you can use screw top or flip top bottles, and then we stand those bottles in a big saucepan. In fact, I use this same saucepan, and I put another tea towel in the bottom of the saucepan. I stand the sealed bottles of elderflower cordial in here, then I top it up with water as far as I can, and I put it on the hob and very slowly bring it up to a simmer. The saucepan has got the tea towel in the bottom to stop the glass bottles from shaking on the bottom of the stainless steel saucepan, and we don't want direct heat onto the glass bottles. But by bringing it up to a simmer and holding it at a simmer for sort of 10-20 minutes, we'll pasteurise the cordial, which means that the natural yeasts that are in the elderflowers, which are the things that would ferment, would be killed at that temperature at the pasteurisation, and then you can store your elderflower cordial at room temperature. We keep it in the garden shed, and then bring it out as you need it throughout the year. Alternatively, if you wanted to make elderflower champagne, you absolutely do want it to ferment. But that's a different recipe. I'm showing you how to make cordial and how to make sure it doesn't explode when it gets a bit too bubbly. So once your elderflower cordial is ready, you can enjoy it, diluting it, because remember it's a very sweet syrup, diluting it with water, with sparkling water, or why not push the boat out and get a bottle of sparkling wine to top up your cordial and have a really special summer drink. But we do hope that you're going to make some of this. It's great fun. It's really easy. Lemons and sugar and elderflowers should be straightforward to get hold of. The citric acid you can buy online. It's the crystal powders that I showed you. And we really hope that you have a go and enjoy it. So that's it from me here at Hen Corner. So pleased to have been part of Celebrate at Home with Country Living. Please, please, please check out the new Instagram page that Country Living have put together specifically to support the artisan producers that would have been at the Spring Fair that's unfortunately been cancelled. There's artisan producers up and down the country that are busy working from home, often making most amazing things and selling them, often available online. So please, please, please support your local businesses. Follow at CL Artisan on Instagram. That's the new account to support the Country Living artisans. There's a whole load of special offers that Country Living are partnering with their artisan producers. So find out more about that through the Instagram page. And when we're through these challenging times, when the restrictions are lifted, then please buy a ticket for the Country Living Christmas Fair. We will be there and we will be looking forward to it. We love working with Country Living magazine. We've been very sad that the Spring Fair hasn't happened, but we're delighted to celebrate in this way. We're delighted to bring Hen Corner to your home, and we look forward to seeing you as soon as we can. See you soon. Bye.